Hey, what's up, people? How's it going? Hope all's well. Happy New Year. I know I'm coming on here late. I've been dealing with pet issues. My dog's been dying, and it's not dying, and it's dying, so it's kind of fucked up. Anyway, here's a picture of a CB3 xmen tag. Now, I've mentioned him before when I'm talking about school and growing up and me writing graffiti. Well, that guy, believe it or not, he was like right there next to me when I actually started writing RD. I remember asking him, yo, what do you think of this? This is how I'm going to do it, and this and that. Yeah, CB3, Alberto. Now, he was in a school with me. I don't know how he winded up in that school, but he had to have done something wrong somewhere along the line to wind up there because it was like a Get Start program school. Normally, like if you're in juvenile centers or detention centers and you get released from these places, like Spofford. Well, Spofford's more or less like a holding until they figure out what detention center to put you in. But yeah, shit like that. They don't just release you into the regular public school system. And so, yeah, I don't know what his game was or what he was up to, but his name was Alberto Martinez or Morales or something like that. Yeah, I remember sitting down with him, and he was already CB3, X-Men, WOW, and BTW. He was big on that, BTW, Brooklyn. And, he was already pretty well established. I remember right with him on the letter line somewhere. We were climbing down some pole and shit like that. But, yeah, that's very interesting that that picture popped up because I've actually mentioned him before when I'm talking about growing up in New York City and like growing up in New York City and writing graffiti and being a criminal and shit like that. I've actually mentioned him as one of the people that I wrote with early on in life. A few people have mentioned that CB3, X-Men, this, that, and I remember seeing him up. I remember even seeing the top to bottom he did. And I don't know, but that's his thing. People are almost acting like the guy didn't exist. He was a figment of my imagination or some shit. You know? The X-Men dudes, they could have just came out and said, yeah, CB3, X-Men, Alberto, this, that. It's as simple as that. But, yeah, here's a picture of it. Yeah, I mean, I guess they don't got no reason to um, uh, authorize my story or certify it as fact or fiction or nothing. They don't owe me anything, those X-Men guys. So I get it. I'm from a whole different part of the world and shit like that compared to them. I'm from Manhattan. They're from out in Brooklyn or wherever the fuck they're from. Really never followed the crew like that. Um, I know of Tess, of him from down there in the 20s, Tess and DJ No and stuff like that. But I remember a big, actually, it was big X-Men on a Ridgie, a double R, a big B-I-G, Mr. Big. Yeah, which I believe was the other So X-Men. So it's crew's been around a long time. But this particular person, he was in school with me in this Get Start program, like after I got released. At that point, I didn't get released from Spofford or any juvenile center. I got released from Grasslands when they were doing a psychological evaluation on me to determine what the fuck's going on in my head. And shortly after that, I was with him in school for maybe a year and a half. Yeah, we were pretty palsy. We hung out, and you had Thomas Santos, who he got stabbed and killed on 89th Street, Amsterdam, on Halloween. 1983, 1984. Yeah, Los Mosquitos. That Brandeis High School. Public high school there. Brandeis with BYB, Bad Yard Boys, Brandeis Yard Boys. It had that piece, Los Mosquitos. Right around that period of time, I believe this dude was down with that whole Los Mosquitos thing, Thomas Santos. And he got murdered. And what else is there to say about that? Yeah, when you go in them juvenile centers, and just to let you know, my mindset at that point in my life. Yeah, I was really living it like that, man. I was taking no shit, man. Like, you see, you got to realize on the East Coast, including the prisons with the grown-ups, but in the juvenile centers also, it's like white dudes. Like when I was in Spofford, there was no other white person in Spofford at all. Like none. They didn't. There was no white dudes getting locked up that were young and underage in Spofford when I was there, and it was fucking hell. And the reason it was hell is because when white dudes do go through the system like that, they're normally little punks and little bitches, and they get picked on. But I wasn't going to be that one. They come to me with that shit. I'm like, fuck that. You're going to have to kill me, bitch. For real, I was really on that shit. That's why people, they see them, oh, shit, there he is. Yo, what up, Rob? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just, I really was not going out like that. Now, later on, when I went up to juvenile centers or DFY facilities, Division for Youth facilities, when I went up to those, then I bump into more white kids. And I'll tell you this right now. I see some of these guys that later on got involved with the mafia, the Italians out in Bensonhurst and shit. Some of them dudes were actually in juvenile centers with me, and they were a bunch of little bitches. That's why I really don't put much into all that mafia shit. Never did, never will. Honestly, I see some of these dudes that came out. Think about people my age that are from those areas, even out in Queens and shit. You know, they fuck around, they get in trouble, and they wind up in a detention center, and they weren't getting down like that, man. They were really being picked on. I mean, I'm being truthful. Me, I'm like, fuck that. You're gonna have to kill me. Even the Jews. There was even a couple of Jews in there that were doing that, man. Fucking, but the Irish kids that I met in there, a couple of them from like Deer Park, Long Island, in upstate New York, were more tough and more ready to rock than the motherfuckers out in Bensonhurst and all those fucking neighborhoods out in Brooklyn and Queens and shit where these Italians were from. Believe me, man, the fucking like Irish dudes, they were ready, they were good, they were going. And I'm dead serious. Like, I don't know. I think the Italians, maybe their mothers and their fathers babied them too much. Like they were more worried about their haircuts and looking fancy and wearing their wife beater shirts and shit like that. They weren't out there like that. And that is, swear to fucking God. That is the truth right there. But anyway, throughout those missions, you get out of places like that. Like, yo, it was do or die. It really was. Do or fucking die. You're going back, what? With CB3? Now, that's when I got released from a place like that. And I was sent back, and they're trying to mainstream me back into public school. 1983, I was like 14 years old, 15. That's when I started writing RD. That's when I stopped writing to Rob and all that shit and redo and Rodi, all that shit. Like Rodi, R-O for Robert, and D-Y for Dyer. You get it? Rodi. I was like, nah, I'm RD. I remember Alberto, CB3. I'm doing my shit. I go, that's hot, man, this, that, blah, 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 blah. I was thinking about dragging my D more, like how he would do his 3, which is also like Lee 3. I should get him on here one day. Lee 3 from the letter lines also. Lee 3. Rose he used to write. Well, CB3 would do the same 3. It's a very popular 3. And yet Bo, RTW, wow, he would do the same kind of 3, but as an E. He would do the E like that. It's kind of like an O-E, you know. But yeah, that brings back memories, man. That's it. And it kind of brings me back to why and like what's going on here now. That's why like you guys could never really understand that shit, man. Like you graffiti writers today, you can't understand like what it's like. Like seriously, do you know how badly I got the shit beat out of me in them fucking places? I'm like, oh, fuck that. Every day you're going to have to beat my ass. I don't give a fuck. For real, I was on like that, and like to go through that and to build up a reputation throughout the juvenile system. And then, like I said, these are the streets of New York that these kids come in and out of. So it's like to build up a reputation like that. It was all that mattered to me. It was the most important thing to me. I was going to be that dude. Like I was like, yo, fuck that. Like, yo, all white boys ain't soft. I ain't the one. You've mistaken me for that mother. Like, I'll beat the shit out. I'll save a white boy's ass, then beat his ass just for putting himself in that situation. Back then, for real. And I'm not saying I'm no badass. I come on here telling you I have no style of fighting whatsoever. Not once have I ever been taught how to throw a punch or anything. It's just all pure grit and grind and fucking pride to move forward. And I'll take that beating, bro. For real. It's been that way my whole fucking life. And nowadays, you got people out here trying to downbid that and mock that in me when I fought my whole fucking life to build that. And actually, for you guys too, you white dudes out there on the East Coast that were getting caught up there. I'll tell you, there might be a few dudes that were ready to do you in, but they're like, yo, and maybe like one white boy, he wasn't going for it because that would be me. Like, I really was that dude, and I really was setting out that reputation. Like, you can do whatever the fuck you want to them, man, but that shit ain't happening over here. No. Kill me, bitch. For real. I was like that out there. Anyone that knows me. And if anyone remembers Alberto, CB3, X-Men from that picture, he'll tell you I was even the only white boy in that whole school. In that school, that whole Get Start program where they take kids that were in juvenile centers, DFY facilities, SPOF, and they're mainstreaming them back into the public schools. I was the only white kid in that whole shit. I'm always the only white kid. When it comes to the East Coast and during my era of time and juvenile centers, yo, I really was that dude, man. I was like, what? Fuck that. I was in it, man. I really was. And I was a pretty motherfucker, too. You look at me, I showed no threatening abilities at all. I was just a skinny little white boy. I was trying to laugh about, oh, well, this one, this and that. And I'm like, yo, you're talking about like this guy beat this guy. No, I'm talking about fucking survival, man. You chew that motherfucker's face off if you have to, man. Yeah, you gotta go for yours, bro. Nah, nah, nah. This is a type of thing that you people will never understand. And hopefully you would never have to deal with that shit. But yo, that's the truth right there. I was not the one. I was like, nah, I don't give a fuck, yo. They're gonna have to kill. And you know, when I got to these other little centers, like these DFY facilities and shit, where you got a little grass, you're in a cottage, the kids, they can play baseball and basketball, and they start going to school. It's a little more laid back and shit. You don't have white dudes in there that would be getting hurt and victims, man, just straight up victims to like blood. This is before the Bloods, before the Crips, before the Latin Kings on the East Coast. I don't know what was going on the West Coast, but yo, they were just victims, bro. Like people like, yo, give me your shit. I'm like, what? Fuck out of here. Suck my dick. Yeah, for real. They'd be like, no, no, no. Like for real, like they would actually walk away from me. I'd be there, there'd be other white kids, and then the dudes would come up, start shaking them down and shit. Like, yo, I like them sneakers. Yo, what's this? Yo, what's that? Yo, let me get you shit. And, they come, I'd be like, yo, fuck you, man. And they're like, oh shit. So like I actually winded up just like here. Just like nowadays, I actually had beef with fucking white dudes because I was a bad image to them. As if I'm next to them, they're gonna fuck with them. But I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Bring it. For real. I was always like that. Bring it. Let's do this. For real. I didn't give a fuck. You can beat my ass every day, all day. And I'd be like, do this. I wasn't gonna go out like that. Anyway, like I say, when you get released from places like that and you get put into the regular public school system, you're violent, especially when you're like me, like a white boy that had to go through extra bullshit just because of the color of his skin. I'm the only white dude. So it's like, then I'm put into this Get Start program, another only white dude situation. And it's like, yo, I always held my own. And no one could ever say nothing fucking bad about me in the streets or in those places back then, nowadays, or ever. Like, I really did the right thing at the right time all the time. I keep my mouth shut. I don't see nothing. I don't hear nothing. And, I moved precise and perfect. Anyway, like I said, I wind up in this Get Start program, which was run by Charlie King, who I believe is a direct descendant from Martin Luther King. Correct me if I'm wrong. He was a big one with Lynn Swartz. And they had this program where they mainstream you out of kid jail or juvenile centers, whatever the fuck you want to call it, into regular public school system. And that is where I met Alberto, CB3. Worked with him, hung out with him almost every day for like a year and a half. And then I actually got in trouble and got sentenced through Spofford up to an actual juvenile center. And I never saw the guy again. So anyone out there knows Alberto, CB3, tell him I said, what's up? Show him my face. Ask him if what I'm saying is true. Like I said, he was in the school that's out in the free world. He wasn't in the juvenile centers. I don't know, never knew him in them places. I can only assume he had to have been released from a program like that to get to be in front of me in the same classroom. Like he had to have been in some kind of trouble somewhere with the law. Actually, even through truancy, you could wind up in something like that if you just don't go to school. And like, yeah, you could get fucked up like that too. So I don't know his deal, but yeah, he was there. Anyone remembers Alberto or knows him today, if he's alive or dead, tell him RD, Robert Dias said, what's up? Ask him about Charlie King, the guy that we used to run that school. Yeah, very nice guy. I'll tell you, that guy, Charlie King, he'd go to court for me and shit even. Very nice guy, man. He really helped me out. You know, I was like their only white boy in the whole school. So I was like the kid that they pull out to get like funding. But then he would be serious with me too, Charlie. You know, Charlie would go to court and shit. He'd be like, "Oh, this, that, blah, blah, blah." I'm like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" Now I'm sorry to tell you. He's like, "Dude," he's like, "You're my white boy." Like when they wheeled me out, like Livingston. I remember they were donating money for higher education for youth kids at risk or something. Then later on, started getting involved with the pregnant women, the pregnant teenagers that had that were in these programs. They were also involved with that Father Ritter. Yeah, you know who that is, right? That's from the Covenant home. Yeah, he was a fuck. He was a pervert. Man. Freak. I don't know him like that, but I do know a few people that came out through the Covenant home too. A lot of people were released into the Covenant home, and I thought it was a straight up fucking pedophile. Yeah, some crazy shit was going on with him, man. But anyway, yeah, this picture definitely brings back memories. You're talking, I knew him in like 1983. Yeah, that's when I became RD. I remember sitting there being like, yo, I'm going to do RD. That's it, just simple RD. Boom, fuck all that other shit. You know, because he was CB3. Like, pick up the CB, coming on through, big boy, you know, like a CB. At least I think that's what it is. It wasn't his initials because his name was Alberto. But yeah, CB3. All right, now a lot of you guys asking me about this congestion pricing. And then I live up a couple of blocks from the cutoff point on 60th Street. And I'll tell you what I think of that. They got the MTA, right, that is going to benefit from this congestion pricing. So, in other words, it's like welfare for the MTA. It's like they're doing this to bail the MTA out, just like they do people that are on welfare, like junkies and shit that abuse the system. And that's exactly what happened. The MTA could seriously fucking just start getting fucking fare evaders. Start giving them summonses. Like, yo, come here. You have to. You know, I used to get caught hopping the subway. I didn't sit there bitching and moaning about it. You know, I just take it like it's fucking on my chin. You know, for real. We'll get into that. But what has to happen is they got to start giving these people tickets for hopping the subways. It also gives them an opportunity to see if these people are a threat or if they're like out of their mind on drugs. You know, it's a good evaluation point. You know, and you ask them at that point they hop the subway. You have the right to search them at that point. In my eyes, and in the way of the law, you know, if someone's committing a crime or suspicious of committing a crime, well, suspicious of committing a crime was what caused the stop and frisk problem. But if the person actually just broke the law and hopped over the subway, it's fair game. You might have to handcuff them. You don't want to handcuff someone with a syringe in their back pocket, so you have the right to search them for your own safety. You know, so yeah, I believe that way right there. Then you get these people that would cut 75% of the fare evasions right off the top. And the reason for that is because there's about 25 of them that actually need to hop the subway. 25% that actually, I would say, need to hop the subway because they have no other way of getting around. They're broke, they're lazy, they don't work, or they're mentally fucked up in the head, or whatever the situation. They got no legs. I don't know. Whatever the fucking situation is, about 25% of them are going to do it regardless. Now you got the people that are actually going to work that are like, yo, fuck that, man. I ain't paying that shit. Ain't no one else paying it. Now they'll snap right into place. Once you start giving out tickets and they got to pay, I don't know what it is now. Back in my day, 25, $50. Maybe it's $150 now. Once they have to pay that, they're like, fuck, man. And then they think twice about hopping the subway. Now, if you're a badass and you decide not to pay the shit and you decide not to go to court when they give you a second issued a statement that you have to go, then you're going to get what's known as a bench warrant. No, you get this bench warrant. You're arrested for any other shit anywhere else, man. In New York or maybe even in America. That shit's going to pop up. I had one pop up on me. I got off a plane in Jamaica to West Indies. Yeah, I was all fucked up. I was just a ticket, a summons for being where I'm not supposed to be when I was watching the fireworks display on the 4th of July. Yeah, shit popped up like 3 years later, man. And I actually thought I straightened that out. But anyway, you get these people that are hopping just because they want to save a buck, and they're like, fuck that, man. Hey, a dollar skimmed is a dollar earned, you know? So they'll straighten up because they don't want problems with their work and their job. So that right there, those people will pay it, or if not, it will deter a lot of people, and it'll actually give you a reason to be like, hey, yo, come here. You know, that's it. And that right there alone would start to, or it would actually get the system running because that's what the system actually relies on. If you think about this, MTA, every time any system was run privately, it made a profit. MTA, yeah, BMTs, INDs, it shit made a fucking profit. Anywhere in the world, when it's run by a private industry, it makes a profit. The minute that shit goes public, everyone's just like, ka-ching, ka-ching, yo, they breathing in the money. And it's going to just go down, 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 down. And, yeah, it's just like fucking just picking at it till it's just a dead carcass. And then they're going to retire. By the time they pick all the meat off the bones of the MTA, it's time for them to retire. And they go off, and all of a sudden they can't even be held accountable for the shit they did. Yeah, it's just the way it's actually like encoded in the rules. Like you don't see something, say something. Nah. Yeah, not when you're working for the city. You see something, you say something, all of a sudden it's like Serpico. You saw what happened with Serpico, right? Yeah, he tried to rat out the cops. They wound up shooting him in the fucking head a couple of times, or responding slowly when he did get shot, you know? But yeah, no, it becomes corruption. And I believe that's an easy fix. Now, the crazy thing is, they got people that actually decide to take their own car into the city for safety reasons. I mean, Jesus Christ, we just watched a woman be set on fire. Literally set on fucking fire. And you can watch the whole thing like you're watching a fucking movie or something. Yeah, then you got this other guy throwing a dude in front of the subway. As that guy is throwing that dude 28th Street on the 1 train. You watch that footage. As he's throwing that guy on the subway tracks, there's 2 people hopping the fucking turnstile. In the actual frame of footage that is like, I don't know if it's surveillance footage or if it's someone's cell phone footage or what. But as that footage is happening, there's a dude behind them, throwing someone in front of a train, and then right forward shot, or front shot, is 2 dudes hopping over the subway. And so I don't think that we should be bailing them out. And that congestion pricing thing, I really don't notice a difference. I ride every day down First Avenue, up Second Avenue. Actually up First Avenue, down Second Avenue. But yeah, like Monday to Friday. And it looks the same as it did last week and the month before that and everything. It looks the exact same. I don't know. And now the saddest thing is these people, they're scared. They're just downright scared to take the fucking subway. They would rather just take their car and into the city. They're actually scared to go down into the bowels of fucking hell, the subway system. And now they're forced to do that or quit their job and work at a different location. That's some crazy fucking shit. Which brings me to California. People asking me about what's going on there. That's just straight up wokeness gone wrong, man. Like, yeah, wow. Yeah, you know me, I got a room full of frogs and snakes and shit like that. I love the wildlife just like the next man. But Jesus fucking Christ. Well, I hope at least the fish is okay. What is it? The native, no, the smelt, right? And the little cat and mouse, the reason they don't clean it. I shouldn't laugh, man. But, let's be fucking real, man. You people voted for this crazy shit. And what is it, tomorrow or the next day? You actually got this whole thing with $24 million to Trump-proof California? You're going to Trump-proof California? Is that still going on? You people really got the audacity and the balls to do that? Wow. Good luck with that shit. If anything, you should be hugging Trump's nuts. For real, you should be loving that man and smelling him flowers and telling him you're sorry. And I'm not saying that he's evil like that. He's going to take care of them just like everyone else. But you look at this shit that happened Florida, Carolinas, Virginia area, wasn't it? Just a big storm there where people are still, they gave him like a couple of $100 and said, yo, peace out. And they're still like in darkness and shit. Like, to the best of my knowledge, they didn't get shit. All of a sudden, a couple of movie stars lose their fucking house and everyone's supposed to, boo hoo hoo. Hey, it is what it is, man. I don't give a fuck, man. I believe in fair and equality. Isn't that one of them things with the DEI shit? Or isn't everything equal or something? Like, what the fuck? Why is California more important than these other places, or more important than even Hawaii? I think the people in Hawaii are still fucking living in squalor. Yeah, like they didn't do nothing after that shit that burned up in Hawaii, whatever the fuck it was. I don't know. I might have my geography wrong and all this and that and my facts. So maybe I should just shut up on the subject. But in reality, we dodged a fucking bullet, yo. If Kamala would have got in, boy, shit, yo, that would have been America, man. Yo, think about it with that Tim Walz, dude. Tell me we didn't dodge a bullet. I actually got people coming on here, yo, Trump, this, that. I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Just a couple months ago, that same motherfucker oh, he's a threat to democracy. Like Lee, the Fab Five, right? Lee, oh, look. Oh, he don't like us Puerto Ricans. Oh, no. He said it. You hear it. Like, yo, man, fuck all you dudes, man. You are nuts. Another thing with these abortions in California, right? It's like, the fuck is the good of having the ability to give abortion if you don't have a fucking house or anything? Like, look at this shit. Like, that whole world, this is just fucking Nuttyville, man. For real, that shit's like some Hogwarts shit, man. Craziest shit ever. Like, how does this even fly? And you people really know, right? You honestly understand that a man cannot be a woman. I mean, you gotta know this shit, right? Like, you're fucking with me. Like, that's what I said. Like, at first, like I said, I went through the systems and shit. I'm out there. I'm hip. I'm cool. I know when someone's trying to beat the system, jerk the system, these things happen. You really believe a man could give birth to a fucking child? It's just, come on, like, yo, I'm sorry, but yo, and that's that crazy shit that I'm talking about, like white dudes in these juvenile centers, like, and they just get fucking ran over, man. That shit is just like, you're not being logical. You're not being truthful to yourself. Like, that's all I can say when it comes to any of that shit, man. It's all fucking craziness. I told you people in my, video I did here about Gradient. It's a Gradient magazine. I did that article 18 fucking years ago. And it's word to sin right now, today. It's like I predicted the fucking future. Yeah, it's like I had a fucking crystal ball in front of me. How did I do that? Just by paying attention to what's going on. Like, just open your fucking eyes and deal with reality, man. Yeah, like I said, me needing with all these toxic male and toxic masculinity. Yeah, I needed that shit. I had to be. And I'll tell you something, man. You motherfuckers are going to need that shit, too. Yeah, you need people to lead people. You need fucking men. Like, look at this shit that just happened in California. What the fuck? There was no water in the fucking pumps. None at all. And then you go, okay. Oh, well, don't worry about it. The mayor, she was in Ghana, Africa somewhere, but that's okay because there's always what you call a deputy mayor, right? Oh, wait, he's actually under investigation for a fucking bomb threat. Yeah, I think he was going to court or something. He was going to be found guilty. I don't know all the ins and outs about it, but he actually made a fucking bomb threat, and they caught him. I think he probably used his own cell phone, how intelligent these fucking people are. But, yo, it just keeps falling at the wayside. Like, every single fucking thing these Democrats do. It's like just a nightmare. Like a child could be like, no, that's not going to work out well. And I don't know. Peace out, people. But, yeah, wow. A lot of that could have been avoided, if not all of it. Think about it.